atraparemos! ¡Ahí está! ¿Qué coño? ¡Te atraparemos!
A rocket launcher?
¡Tu sangre! ¡A cubierto!
This isn't good.
Break already.
You're serious?
This where they're keeping Ashley?
Doesn't look like I can get in through here. Need to find another way.
Ahí está. ¡Cabrón! ¿Dónde? ¿Qué vas? ¡Vaya! ¿Qué está pasando?
Ashley! Ashley! Come on, Ashley, wake up! Shit! Hang in there.
¡Ahí está!
Body armor's not looking great.
break's over, I suppose. Welcome. Well then, what can I do you for? Thank you. Good luck to you, stranger. Easy work. This kind of work is about finesse, stranger. Little bit goes a long way. You'll see. Gotta select. Come back anytime.
What kind of experiments are they doing here?
Fuck are you?
rhymes with fun for a reason, stranger. Why not treat yourself, mate?
Again? Come on, it's taking so long.
E-card overwrite complete.
wrench to get this open. This thing is controlled by bugs.
There you go. ¡Hágate esto! ¡Trágate esto! ¡Menudo grano!
Shit, my body armor.
Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. Sorry, this fucking microphone is beat shit, super old, super used up, has a lot of issues, but I can't afford to get another one, so, you know, it's real finicky. Yeah, like I said, I'm just streaming all I can before I have to move. Later today, me and my dad got a lot of fucking brutal movement ahead of us, so...
Ashley.
I know how it feels.
Shit. You're gonna be okay.
Dealing with the stupidity of my fellow people. Like people saying the fucking... I'm still seeing people say, I wouldn't expect... Yeah. Man, I wouldn't expect the Final Fantasy 16 to be that much better than the demo. I mean, you can transfer your save over. It's final code. No, it's not. At this point, I don't even know what to say to people. Like, I'm getting tired of having to tell people, that it's not the final code. It's the fucking, the demo is at least 6 months old. At least 6 months old. It's probably closer to a fucking year. It's not going to be the final game. We know this for a fact, okay? Because the fucking state of play demo was 1.3 compared to the demo we got being 1.1. So at the very least, we know there's at least one other build. But from what I've recently read, that state of play build wasn't even the final build, which makes sense. They almost never show final builds at game shows. So it's actually the final game is going to be closer to like 1.5. So there's like multiple versions from the demo to the final release. On top of which, the director of the game has straight up said, we don't need a day one patch because we're happy with the quality of the game. Now, I really don't feel like he would have said that if it wasn't in good shape. I mean, for the record, let's take a look at Jedi Survivor. That game launched, right? It is insane for video games. I was actually trying to talk to you earlier, man, Jonathan, and my mic was off. I had no idea. I apologize for that. My mic can go off without me knowing it. It can be a bitch. So, look at Jedi Survivor. EA said 2 days before the game released, 2 days, we're going to have multiple patches coming for performance, okay? So, you can tell already, if they're telling people, don't worry, we've got multiple patches on the way, you know it's bad. Before the game even releases, they're already promising to fix the issues. That should have been the writing on the wall right there. Yeah. Even after 5 patches. Yeah, it's a shame. I'm still waiting for them to fix it. I actually love the game. I just think it runs like horse shit. But They fucking sent Final Fantasy 16 off to gold 3 months ago in March. Okay? So, if the game was in dire straits, if the game needed a patch, they had 3 additional months to work on a day 1 patch. If your game was in a sorry state, why wouldn't you take those 3 extra months? Okay? So, I don't feel like the developer of the game would be saying, well, we don't need a day 1 patch if the game was in a sorry state. Because that makes him look like an asshole. And we know for a fact that the game that we're getting is a different build. It's probably several builds past the demo, okay? So, you know what? Do I have a fucking crystal ball? Yeah, the rain. Yeah, stuff like that. I can see that. It was pretty good as it stands. You're right. It didn't need one. The day 1 patch was just a little bit of polish. It wasn't like necessary for the game to function. But I'm saying I don't have a crystal ball. Okay? So there's a chance that the final build of Final Fantasy 16 will be just like the demo in performance and will have rocky performance in certain places. But at the same time, it just doesn't add up. Demo's super old. Director has said they didn't need a day 1 patch, which if your game was fucking running like shit, you'd think they'd be doing everything they could to try and patch it up. They basically, if that's the case, they literally passed on 3 months of development time. A lot could be done in 3 months of polishing. So, I really don't think that the issues are going to be a concern. You know, there is every possibility that we'll get it out and it'll have frame rate issues. If that's the case, it'll suck. But the demo, none of the demo was unplayable. It looked good. It had some frame rate issues, but it was well within playability and not awful. So I'll still play the game. But I don't think that's going to be the case. And, you know, I think it's too early to write it off. Yeah, well, kind of, yeah. If your game needs a day 1 patch to function, yeah. A day 1 patch shouldn't be required downloading. A day 1 patch should be a little bit of polish on the cake. If you need a day 1 patch for your game to run, you have failed. So I think it's going to be 9-day difference. And another key thing to note, at the Final Fantasy Celebration, which was like the 11th, where they announced the demo, they had the developer of the game come on and play a combat encounter. And that was from the final build, presumably. And that ran just fine. So the actual developer played like the final build for the Celebration, and it ran just fine in a big-ass boss battle. So there's a very good chance that the final game will run exponentially better. So, but you have no idea how many people I have seen already act like it's the fucking end of the world. That there were some FPS drops in the demo, you know? And, you know, if we're honest, Final Fantasy 16 gets a little bit of a pass for me from the frame rate issues, because in its defense, there's some next level visual shit going on in 16. That place with the worst FPS drops was the fucking, the summon fight at the end, and I can kind of see why. That fight had a crazy amount of shit going on. I mean, granted, it's never, you know, awesome to have frame rate drops, but at least in their defense, when the game drops, it's because there's some fucking spectacle on screen. There's other games that just run like ass for no fucking reason, and look like shit too. So, plus, worst case scenario, the game does have a solid mode to fall back on. I've seen multiple performance analysis at this point, and they showed that while in the demo, the performance mode couldn't hit a solid 60, the quality mode was pretty much locked 30 all the way around. So worst case scenario, if you can have a fucking quality mode and play it at 30. Obviously, I want to play it at 60, but at least there's a solid performing mode. Like Jedi Survivor There is no solid way to play that. You either play performance mode and it drops way the fuck under 60, or you play quality mode and it drops way the fuck under 30. There is no mode on Jedi Survivor that doesn't run like shit. You are gonna get FPS drops fucking regardless. So, I mean, so at least, just going by the demo, there is a solid option. If the performance isn't good enough for you to switch it to quality, you'll get 30, but it'll be a consistent 30. So that's a solid way to play the game compared to Jedi Survivor, where there's literally no way to play it without it constantly lagging. So, but I just get frustrated because these people are fucking spreading rumors. They're spreading around stuff like, oh no, this is the final build. No, it's not. Okay? I can't speculate what the final build's going to change. I hope that it will be performance, but to say that the demo is the final build is objectively wrong. You're just spreading misinformation. It's not the final build. So, it's just frustrating. How many people will just fucking attack it for no reason, and it's like people want Final Fantasy 16 to fail, and I just think that's shit. I think Final Fantasy 16 is fucking incredible, and I can't wait to play it. Now it's a week. We're literally a week away from launch. Next Thursday, ba-boom. So, it's just frustrating for people to spread around bullshit, honestly. Stuff that doesn't need to be spread around, just fucking horse shit. And, give it a time. Give it time. So, I really do think the final game of 16 will have a phenomenally better frame rate. I really do. The demo build is multiple builds behind the final one. And I really don't think if it had performance issues, the director would be like, no, we're good. Okay? Here we go. Here's a great example. Forspoken. I like Forspoken. I'm in the minority there, but I like Forspoken. It had a lot of technical problems at launch, though. Game ran like shit. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They did the whole song and dance. Well, we're working very hard on a day one patch, guys. Make sure you install that for the best experience. So you can see with Forspoken, they knew it was going to run bad, and were like trying to do damage control. Like, don't worry, we've got a patch to make it better. Make sure you install that, guys. Compared to Final Fantasy 16's place, which still it's the same studio, Square Enix, but a different team, and they're like, no, we're good. So like I said, I honestly think that 16 is going to look and run fucking great. It just, people saying like, oh, it's not Final Fantasy. God. Or even people just freaking out over the fact that it has real-time combat. They're acting like this is the first Final Fantasy as real-time combat, okay? Fucking 15 had real-time combat. Final Fantasy VII Remake had real-time combat. And I never heard one person bitch about the fact that that was real-time. But all of a sudden, 16 has hack and slash combat, and all of a sudden it's, oh, this isn't Final Fantasy, this is real-time. What? Don't get me wrong. I like turn-based combat. I've played plenty of games that have turn-based combat. I have no problem with turn-based combat. It can be fun to play turn-based combat. But it is not something that is mainstream to this day. It's considered old and outdated. And I know a lot of people who will see a turn-based game and say, no, I won't play it just because it's turn-based, okay? So people are trying to condemn Square for this. But the truth is, if they were to make a major mainstream Final Fantasy game and have it be turn-based, a lot of newcomers would just flat out refuse to play it. It would not sell very well. Like I said, I like turn-based games. I'm cool with it. But the majority of Zoomers and other millennials I've talked to are like, oh, it's turn-based, well, I don't want to play that then. These Final Fantasy games are huge fucking big budget games. They're not going to make something that's not going to sell. And it's just not mainstream. It's not really mainstream acceptable anymore to do turn-based. It's, there's only a handful of people that like turn-based. And like I said, I'm fine with it, but I can see where it's not commercially viable. These Final Fantasy games are insanely big budgeted. Like, if you played 7 Remake or you've seen 16, these games are fucking massive productions. They can't afford for them to sell terribly. Most people want real-time combat. So they're like, okay, this is what RPG fans want. This is what we're going to give them. And also, it's like, at the same time, it's like Final Fantasy has to change. It's like people are expecting Final Fantasy to just do the same shit it's always done. And so what, like, just do the same thing forever? That's how a series stagnates and fucking dies. So it's like, it's like you can't win, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm not trying to go on like a whole fucking rant. I just get annoyed at people spreading misinformation. It's like you can't win, you know? I'm excited for Final Fantasy 16. I think Final Fantasy 16 is going to be fucking excellent, honestly. I think 16 is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a new bar for the series, and it's going to be a new era for the series. Because while each Final Fantasy game is self-contained, you can definitely tell the start of different eras in the series and the turning points that they represented. Final Fantasy 7 was a turning point in the series. Final Fantasy 10 was a fucking massive turning point in the series. 13 was a big turning point in the series. 15 was. Now 16 is. And it's like so weird to me to see like people coming down on 16 for real-time combat while they're excited for Final Fantasy 7 Part 2 and that has real-time combat. I'm like, what's the difference, bro? Both of these games are Final Fantasy games. Both these games have real-time combat, but you're cool with one and you're not cool with the other. Or you can tell people will date themselves and they'll show that they're not really fans of the series because they'll be like, well, Final Fantasy 16 is medieval. And, like, this isn't just, this isn't the Final Fantasy I know. Okay? Well, the funny thing about that is the first 6 fucking games in the series were medieval. Literally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are medieval. Okay? And then 9 was also medieval. So, out of the first 10 games in the series, 7 of them were medieval. And then the MMOs, 11 and 14, were 100% medieval. So they have more medieval Final Fantasies than they do anything else. At the time, people are too young, I guess, to remember this, but at the time, Final Fantasy VII was known for being a radical departure. It's like people were used to, medieval knights and shit. It's like, holy shit, we're in like a sci-fi city with cars and stuff. Like, what the hell's going on here, guys? And it was a pretty big departure when it came out. Because they were classic games. So, like, when somebody's, like, sitting there saying, well, this is not the classic Final Fantasy, actually, I would say 16 is probably closer to classic Final Fantasy than, like, any of the games since 9, in terms of tone and aesthetic. And yeah, like, I sorry if I'm ranting and it's boring, but, I just have a lot to say about the matter. And like I said, it's, and it works out just fine, because if you don't like the direction that 16 is going, and you want something closer to what you're used to, because you can't say classic, play Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. That comes out in early 2024. I'm going to assume either winter or spring. Okay, so that's like only 6 months away. So, you'll get your traditional fucking JRPG with spiky hair protagonists and anime tropes. I, for one, think that it's kind of refreshing after so many entries to have only like futuristic stuff to kind of get back to the roots and have the classic knights in armor and fucking medieval castles that the series is fucking known for. And like I said, it's like one game. You're getting another game that's like the modern Final Fantasy fucking in less than a year. In less than a year. So it's frustrating. It's like, it's like you said before, people just want to find any fucking reason to hate on a game. They want to dislike it. They actively look for things to dislike about it. I hate that.
Sorry I'm late.
No. Thank you. You brought the medicine just in time.
Can you stand?
Where's Luis?
He was worried about you. Till the end. Come on. We don't have much time. Let's get rid of these things.
For Luis.
Yeah, I like the fact that Ashley mentions Luis.
Ada, come in. There's a lab where we can remove the parasites. Had a crazy hunch that you'd know where it is.
Their most important facilities are housed in their sanctuary on top of the mountain. That's where I'd look.
Huh. Ada the encyclopedia.
Happy to help. Now you owe me.
Got it?
Duh.
I'm counting on you.
I'm pretty much a master of unlocking.
I have some new goods that might interest. Welcome. What can I interest you in?
I'll be right back. I'm gonna take a short break.